All right, hey everybody. I know there was some confusion. I've heard from a few people some confusion on um, saving things that are not strings. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make a quick video where we cover that, how to put them through, on how to add multiple things. Especially this is gonna be important. It was important for the previous assignment. But didn't really hear problems until after. So I want to make sure that everybody has this for their individual game project so that you can make sure you're saving the data you need for your data collection. All right, so I have opened up our in-class project. We're just going to modify some scripts that are here. I have opened up the data scenes, project scenes, data scene. One thing I would check and make sure that your floor has a baked mesh. Make sure it's blue. That will get the robot to not have a complaint. And then for my player, for some reason, I needed to add the player look. Not sure why that wasn't actually there, but it wasn't. And then because this was the player controller script that we've been modifying for everything, it didn't work for this data script. So what I ended up doing is I removed everything regarding to the player health and to the player health bar. So I took out this part, took out these top three codes on the awake. I left the take damage public void because it was kind of complaining when I took that out. So just commented out the script. Same thing with the image health color, just took out the scripts. And then I came down and I added a public void on quit, which would call to the controller dot get component close game exit game. We needed a way. There wasn't a way to just exit the game from this one, so needed a way to do that. Because once again, you can only truly save data when you are quitting a built game. So then in close game script, this had been commented out, so I just removed the comment out on that so that when the game is saved, it will go ahead and call the save load script. All right, so we don't need those ones anymore. Let's first start by opening up our game data folder, and we're going to add a few different, make a quick change and then add some different types of data types in here. So we're going to actually change from a private material, we're just going to make this public, and we're just going to manually drag that in because I don't want this to have to go through and do play to do it. Literally just open it up, press save, and it'll save the thing. So what we're going to do to make that easier, we're also going to do I'm going to save some space because I will eventually comment this out. Private int player health. So say we wanted to store how much health the player has when they stop playing so that we could reload it. I am not going to be worrying about the loading aspect. I feel like based off of all this, that should be simple-ish, simple enough, hopefully, for everyone to pull off. So just worried about the saving, specifically the saving for that data, UX testing data save. So you can, at the end of the game, you could save what the player's health is to see like how much damage your player took. You could do a private float and look at time played, so measuring from the start of the game to the end of the game. We could also do a private string. Say this was a game where you had players choosing a name, so we could save the name. And maybe the player dies and you just kind of want to have an idea where that is. So we can do a private vector 3. I will call it player location. All right. So, because I don't want to have to play and set all this up elsewhere, I'm just going to do a start. So private, I don't know why it erases the P every time I do that. Private void start. And what we'll do in here is we're going to set player health to, let's say, 94. Time played equals 27.428. Remember to add the F for the float. Player name. Let's just say it's my name. I was playing. And we'll do, we'll set up a new vector 3 to just store this. We'll call this temp vector. New vector 3, and we'll just set it to 1, 2, 3. Why not? And so then we can set player location to equal temp vector. So that's the data that's been passed through, right? We're putting it in here, but this could easily be things that the game itself saves. So that's why we're going to do that this way. Because I don't want to have to go through and code all the rest of this in. And then we can leave the set wall color. And then what we want to do is create a set of the save things, because these are returning specific things. So we're going to just continue it through. We'll do a public integer, save player health. And with this one, we're going to want to return player health. That's correct. Then we'll do a public float, save time played, return time played, public string. We already have this. I'm just doing it again. Save player name. That we can also see how this continues to grow as we do it. Return player name. And then public vector 3, save player location. And we're going to set this to return player location. Now, if we were doing this, if we were doing this for a reason for loading the player to the same spot they left out or they quit at, we would not want to do this. And I'll explain why, or I'll show you why when we finish. But for this, we would want to actually break this out into saving floats that then break down into the X, Y, and Z, because this is going to save it in a pretty unusable way. So we'd want to just kind of break that down here. So we would, save player location X, save player location Y, save player location Z, extract those values as floats and have them one at a time, and then we recombine those when we would load. But I'll show you why when we do that. This is going to be good for like just a general, like you can kind of have an idea of where they died. So with this, make sure you go ahead and save the new game data, and then we're going to go into our data script. And so with this, we're going to add on to the bottom of the material. We're going to add, none of this should be a surprise, a public int player health, public float time played, a public string player name, and a public vector 3 player location. All right, so if you remember when we were going over this before, so the game data is where we store our data, right? So to set our wall color to be passed through, we had to send in that variable. We're changing it for this, but previously we had to send it in, right? So if without this start feature, we would need to, as the player takes damage, or we'd have to send in an initial player health. And then every time the player's health changed, we'd want to send that here to our game data so that we had access to that. We would want to probably put in a start time here in the start, and then somewhere else an exit time so that we just knew what those times were. And then passing them here, passing the player name, passing the player's location when they die. All those things need to be passed in. They get passed in through a public void. I usually label it something set, whatever it is, so set player health, set time played. And then passing it in with the same data type it is, right? So we passed in material. M was just shortcut for the variable. This could have been material with the parameter variable name of baloney. It doesn't matter. It's just that because then we reference it here. So M is just shorthand for it. So that's how we pass that through. Once we do that, we need to, in the saving process, we need to set up what that data is going to look like. And so what we're doing with this is we're setting up what the data looks like. And what I'm going to actually do is, so the data string M, that was our material, right? So once again, we're using the same idea as this. The M's do not actually connect. We just use the same variable. They're in different scripts. It was just shorthand for M for material. And so here what we're going to want to actually do, now that we have all this, when we're creating our data that we're saving, we need to, inside this, set everything that it is. So currently all we're saving is the M. Thankfully it fills in nicely. And we could change this, right? So let's say we want to, every data piece that we want to save needs to be brought in here. So we can do string M. Our next one is int, let's call it pH for player health. We could call it player health like you recommended. It doesn't matter. Whatever makes sense to you, whatever you're going to be able to remember. Float TP for time played, string PN for player name, and vector3 for PL player location. And then we just need to come down here and do the same thing. This dot player health equals pH. We're just following the same way that this is. This dot time played is TP. This player name equals player name. This player location is player location. So what this does is this sets what our data is going to look like. This is the order that we're going to get that data when we save the file. Sometimes it's going to matter. Maybe you want it to look real nice and read really well. Player name, the time they played, their health, how many times they died, how many enemies they killed. Like, right? You could lay that all out really nice. This doesn't really matter, the data structure, but you have to make sure all of these things are here or else we can't save it. So we'll go ahead and save this. This gets our data function technically all set up, but it's going to set up the data is in our save load. All right, so we open our save load. We want to go ahead and continue with the same themes. We're going to do private int current player health, a private float current time played, a private string current player name, and a private vector3 current player location. Right, so we're saving those because we can set those and we're going to use that for saving our data. We can also then use that on the loading, which once again we're not covering in this, but you can use that in the loading to then fill those and then get that data back out. All right, so what we want to do is scroll down to our save data, right? So in our save data, we first gather the materials. And so we need to set all the current versions that I just did. So we're going to, we have the current wall color. So we're going to do current player health equals GC was our game controller. Get component. This is going to be game data just like we've done before. And then this time is going to be save player health. And we do this for the rest of them. So current time played equals GC get component game data dot save time played current player name GC get component game data save player name and lastly current player location GC get component game data dot save player location. So what we're doing in here is we're gathering everything we need to save, right? So we've, like we did before, we were just gathering the wall material, but now we're gathering more data. So we're going to go ahead and gather that data, put it here, but now you'll see in our create data to save, that's our last step. But data is red squiggly because we don't have all the data we should be saving. And so if you hover over the data, it's going to tell you exactly what it should be. This is where sometimes just using brief variables is not really helpful, right? So it's telling us string m, int ph, float tp, string pn, vector pl. Maybe you don't remember what those are. This is where if we did string material, int player health, float, time played, string player name, vector 3, player location, that would make it really clear what should go in here. So, but thankfully we've put everything in the order, so we can do comma current player health, comma current time played, comma current player name, comma current player location. And with that last piece, our data says, okay, good, you've got it all, we're good to go. And now we have everything we need. So all we're going to do is save this, drag that off, make sure there's, and so then come into, because we set this up in our script, in the game data on the controller, I just drag the black material. We can switch this to blue. It doesn't matter. Heck, we'll change it to aqua. Why not? Let's be crazy. And so that's going to give us our save. Everything else is good. And then we will go ahead, like we've done previously. We'll do File, Build Settings. Make sure that you're seen in the build, that you're building the data scene. If not, click the Add Open Scenes. Uncheck the version that was there before. You can also go ahead and delete it if you want. If you delete everything, it's as easy as Add Open Scenes. And then go ahead and build. I'm just going to build this again to the data folder that I had built previously. And it's just going to rewrite everything. So all that this was data building anyway. So it's not going to mess anything up for me. So once that folder's selected, select folder, it's going to go ahead and build. The first time you build is always the slowest. After you get that first one done, it is so much faster. All right, so then into our data build, you're going to see, we'll just have an exe. So we'll go ahead and double click on that. And for this, it was the Y button to save. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to hit Y. Don't need to do anything else because everything got set the moment we loaded in with that start function. So we're going to close that. And then remember, I'm going to bring this back out just in case it'd be good to go through it again. So to find the file, we want to go to our C drive. You want to go to users, pick the name that you logged in on to get access to it. So mine's Aaron. And then once again, you need to find your app data folder. If that is not there, you're going to want to go to view, whatever your version looks like, and then make sure that hidden items is checked so you can see everything there. So app data, and then it's local low is the folder, and then you're going to go down, unless you've changed this, default company, and scroll. I have way too many of these until you find what you named it. So I named it section 1 part 1. So double click to open that. Now you've got your saved JSON in there, and once we open this, I'm just going to drag this over. We have our material, Aqua, player health 94, time played. I really don't know why it threw these extra numbers in there. We didn't give it that number. The first digits are correct, but then it just decides it wants to give it something extra, I guess. So don't worry about that. I think if you save these, right, you're just going to round up anyway. If I was looking at time played, the most I would go to is the hundredths place, 27 seconds, and 27.42 seconds. And then we've got player name. Let's give my player name Aaron. And then here's the reason why, right? So we've saved the player location. We've saved it as a vector 3, and it's kicked it out as a vector 3. Might be able to, through the load, be able to drill down further into this. I've never tried. But it might be something that would be doable because it does have the quotations. But once again, if you were trying to save this as the last player location, I probably, unless I verified that I could drill down further into this JSON, I would just save it as player location X, player location Y, player location Z, store those individual values, and then just rebuild that vector when you load your game again. That would be as simple as it is. Once again, I think you might be able to drill down into this just again because of this, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So once again, if you're saving it, go ahead and just break it down. But there it is. Now I could take, if I was running this as my UX testing data, right, I can copy this. What I would do myself is I would go in here and I would just change the name of the JSON to the name of your participant, Aaron, right? And now Aaron stays in here. I'm just going to drag this off the side for a moment. And then if we come back and we play again, and nothing's going to be different at least, but when I've saved the data, I get another save JSON, right? Same exact information, just because it was just me, but that could then be different, and then this could be participant 2, right? It doesn't really matter, but this way you're able to save them all and then go through them and do your data analysis after you've collected all. So I hope this helps any of you that were potentially struggling with the data saving aspect, especially for the multiple saves. Yeah, if any questions from this, please let me know. Otherwise, see you in the next video.